yeah, I see him. Oh, I need to go confirm that with Toby. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start the Hall of Fame induction here right at 9 o'clock. So here in just the next few minutes, if you wouldn't mind finding your seats, we'll start here at 9. Thank you. This is one of my favorite things to say when we get ready to start the Hall of Fame induction is good morning, Tigers. Good morning. We'd like to welcome everyone to the 2024 Tiger Sports Hall of Fame induction. My name is John Armstrong. I'm the Director of Admissions at Fort Hays State University, and I have the privilege of being your Master of Ceremonies this morning. And every year, as Curtis and I have had many conversations over the years, and Tisa and Annette, this is one, if not the most favorite day that we have of the year. Over the years, I have had the pleasure to meet thousands of families, student athletes, and it makes me love this university even more every single day. Being here, this is the 18th year in Hays, America. I want you all to feel what you feel when your heart is warm. I want you to feel that today. I want that for every single student and every single family when they come to our campus, whether it's the first time they've stepped foot on our campus or not. I want you to feel the same Tiger pride as what our students feel and what you felt if you were a Tiger back in the day. I want you to feel that again today. This is truly a special place, and I know a lot of you know that already. For those inductees, family, and friends who are attending this special occasion, I too promise you that today will be one of the best days and most enjoyable days that you'll have. Today, the inductees, you are the stars. Today you have every right to smile, you have every right to laugh, and you have every right to cry a little bit if you need to. Today it's about you. Today, it's about how much Fort Hays State University cares about each and every one of you, and you will always be a part of our Tiger family. Before we have an amazing breakfast here, I'd like to introduce those at our head table. First and foremost, to my left, our president of Fort Hays State University, Dr. Tisa Mason. Let's give her a nice hand. And before I introduce our athletic director, the most important person in his life is his wife, Annette, and she keeps him straight and narrow, right? Yeah. Annette Hammocky, let's give her a nice hand. And to the best darn athletic director in the United States of America or the globe of the world, whatever you want to call it, Mr. Curtis Hammocky. Curtis, you want to come up a second?
Thank you, John. And I'm going to say a special thank you to John Armstrong for making this event the class that it is over the years. John's been doing this as our Master of Ceremonies for a long time. And as you will see today, he really adds a very, very special and professional touch to it. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here today and sharing in this special morning with our inductees. We've kept this event pretty quaint over the years to where it's family and a few friends, and we like it that way. And so we're appreciative of you being here and sharing your emotions with us. As John alluded to, we're all subject to a tremendous amount of Hall of Famers in our life, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are back here cooking this morning, for example. So we leave this event each year thinking, man, I wish we could do that for more people. So today we're focused on great athletic achievement, but we're all certainly aware of the amount of Hall of Famers that are never going to be recognized in this capacity throughout their lives. So I always like to say, be mindful of all those in our lives that we have. There's a bunch of them running around. And so we'll see some of them today. That being said, I'd like to thank our Hall of Fame committee and the members. For those that are here, you can see it on the front page of your program. Steve Sedbrook, Gerard Wellbrock is here, I know. Gerard's back there. He's the voice of the Tigers. Gerard, thank you for being here, if you don't mind standing up a second. And then Ryan Prickett is back there, our sports information director. And then John Armstrong right here is the only ones in attendance here right now today. So we also have Mark Pauls and Rich Seeker and John Mason. But let's give them a hand for the work they do. The one thank you that I want to make sure we do before we do anything else is Toby Newberger, who puts this event together. Many of you who are involved have been in contact with her over the last several months. Toby's wearing green back there in the back. If you'll all wave at Toby. Toby, thank you for all your work on this. And there's one other part I do here at the beginning of this every year that is risky for me, but I'm going to do it again, and I try to acknowledge past inductees who are in attendance with us today. And almost every time I forget somebody, but I'm going to try it again. So with us today, I'm going to ask you to stand. Is Lonnie G. Lonnie? Bill Grieving. Dr. Ed Hammond. And Bob McEnany. Now, I also had written down Steve Webster, who I have not seen this morning, and I had Steve Brocksterman also. And so I don't see either one of them here right now. So I think, did I miss any past inductees? Please raise your hand. I pulled it off. That guy in the red shirt back there is not an inductee, Scott. He's not old enough yet. Okay. Now, when we get done, we're going to ask you to join us in a prayer here for a second, and then we're going to go ahead and start with breakfast before we reconvene, okay? So when we do that, being the gracious hosts that we are, we will lead you and show you how to do that. So we will take off first around this way, and then we'll go left to right. So if this table on our left, Kate, your group just follows us, and then just right along this way like this. The wrestlers, like usual, you're the last ones to eat. That's just how it plays out. Okay, so if you don't mind, if you'll join me in prayer here. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings in our lives and your presence amongst us each day. I ask your blessings upon all those here with us today and their families, and ask that you bless the food that we're about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
vote on if they would like to select a school. That they have a date to keep in the induction ceremony. Jace, my oldest boy, won that at Platinum. At that point, it was like the same action for us. Probably 2 years after that. Watch, she'll start signing. It's ribbon. Drop some, put some in her mouth, and she wants more.
That's what.
She just turned 18. And this is her at the pumpkin patch. Once again, good morning, everyone. We'd like to go ahead and get started with our induction part. How was breakfast? Everybody get enough to eat? Yeah? Good, good. Please, if you need to leave the room for restrooms and things, please feel free to do that this morning. I'm sure there's still some food back there. If the little ones maybe need an extra snack or something, that'd be totally fine. Every visit that comes to Fort Hays State University, I cherish, and again, my goal is for them to feel the Tiger pride in their hearts, and I want them to know that we truly care for every student. Of course, I think they're making bad decisions if they don't come to Fort Hays. As the director of admissions, though, it's important for us to really show what we're about, and that it's something that they feel every single time they come to Fort Hays State. I've witnessed our progression and our growth, and it makes me smile every single day. I hope you all have the opportunity to spend some time in Hays America, specifically on campus, drive around our community to just see the wonderful things that are going on, and witnessing one of the most exciting times in the history of Fort Hays State University. I'm sure all of you are proud of what you have to see, and a lot of people ask me, well, where was this when I was here? That's the common term and question that we get quite a bit. And I say, well, you are here right now, so enjoy it. At this time, I'd like to invite our president, Dr. Tisa Mason, to the podium for our official welcome. Dr. Mason.
Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you here and to gather to honor these incredible individuals. A robust student-athlete program is really core to who we are as an institution. And we look to our student-athletes to help us tell our institutional story by how they play and practice, their character on and off the field, and their success in the classroom and eventually the boardroom. And when you think about it, as a society, when we need inspiration, it is often athletes to whom we turn to, because they represent grit and determination, perseverance, and triumph over adversity. These qualities and these characteristics are easily attributed to Fort Hays State University. And so that's why every single year I arrive here on the edge of my seat, so excited to hear your stories, your remarkable stories of inspiration and of excellence. So I've got some tricky introductions here, so listen carefully. At this point, if you are a current or a past Hall of Famer, please remain seated, and I ask everyone else to please stand for a standing ovation for the Hall of Famers. Well done. I just want you to know how incredibly proud we are of each and every one of you. And finally, I'd just like to say to the families, the friends, the mentors, and the coaches, thank you so much for your unwavering support. Today is as much a celebration for you as it is for these remarkable athletes. Thank you very much.
Now we're going to turn our attention to our 2024 Class Hall of Fame member induction ceremony. Our first inductee will be recognized posthumously. Gary Grubb, a native of Tribune, Kansas. Gary was the NAIA national champion in the pole vault for the outdoor season as a junior in 1974. He cleared a height of 15 feet 6 inches to win the championship. He was the national runner-up the same year at the NAIA Indoor Championships, and Grubb was the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference champion during the 1974 outdoor season. He qualified for the NAIA Indoor and Outdoor Championships in 1975 as well, placing 8th at the Outdoor Championships. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our athletic director, Curtis Hammocky, for a quick presentation and acceptance of this award. Curtis?
Thank you, John. In honor of Gary, I wanted to introduce his family here in attendance today and congratulate them for all his accomplishments, but then your support in being here today. Gary's dad is with us here today. So I could ask John Grubb to stand, please. And there's John. Brother Brian Grubb. Sister Annetta Grubb. Sister-in-law Pam Grubb. And Brother Richard Grubb. I'm going to ask Richard to come up and accept on behalf of Gary. But I want to say, Richard, and to all of you here, family members, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for making the effort to be here today and accept this award and make the day special on behalf of Gary. So thank you so much for being here.
Congratulations, Gary Grubb, and welcome to the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. When available, this ceremony has a nice, unique, personal touch to it. When we're able to have a family member, a friend, a colleague, present each inductee. So you'll notice sometimes we will have a presenter come up. They're going to share a few memories with us about the inductee, just to kind of give you an idea of what the protocol is. So I will do a brief introduction of every inductee. Some of our inductees are not able to make it today, and I will read their bio. I know you all have a program that you can read the entire bio. Some of them I will brief. Others that are not here, I'll read their entire bio. I will also introduce the presenter. So if you are a presenter for one of our inductees, I'd ask you to come up. Please be careful as you walk up on stage, say a few words. Then you will introduce the new inductee. The inductee will first of all take a picture with Tisa and Curtis. And then after that, the inductee can come up and share a few of their memories as well. So, our first inductee that's present today is a native of Wamego, Kansas. Randy Hill wrestled for 3 years at Fort Hays State University between 75 and 79, qualifying for nationals all 3 years. He was an All-America performer in 79 as a senior, finishing as a national runner-up. Hill became the first Fort Hays State University wrestler in history to complete an undefeated regular season, going 21-0 before competing at the national championship. Presenting our inductee, Mr. Randy Hill, is Mike Alpers. Mike, you want to make your way up to the front?
Anywhere I want. I just turn it off. I've heard some things this morning already. Protocol, nobody told me about that. Business casual, Randy's in a suit, and 3 decades in the insurance business. This is business casual. So I'm sorry. So Randy called me back in July to tell me that he'd been selected to the Fort Hays Athletic Hall of Fame. Wow. He told me he got emotional when he got the phone call, and then we both got a little bit emotional as we were talking about it. So then Randy asked me if I would introduce him today, so it's his fault you have to listen to me. This committee's made an excellent choice. He deserves this both on and off the mat. And I want to take a minute to talk about some of the things he's done off the mat before I start talking about his athletic accomplishments. After graduation from Fort Hays, Randy would marry Marlinda, probably one of the smarter choices he's made in his life. And they would move to Kansas City with the plans of he was going to train for the Olympics. And that fell through when the coach that was there moved back to his home country. So then Randy had tried out and successfully passed everything he needed to be a part of the Leawood Fire Department in Kansas City, and that fireman life suited him. He told me once that he enjoyed bringing calm to the chaotic situations they were deployed to. So he had a long, successful career in the Leawood Fire Department, and he would retire as deputy fire chief, where he pushed during his career to have a search and rescue division within that department. He would go on to, once retirement, he would go on to create a nonprofit called Midwest Search and Rescue. Excuse me. The goal of Midwest Search and Rescue was to train smaller fire departments, sometimes volunteer fire departments, in the basics of search and rescue. These smaller departments aren't able to send their people for training, so Randy was bringing it to them. And I had a chance in Emporia to watch Randy at work, and they did an excellent job training for the unexpected. So then that would lead to Randy being hired by the Kansas Fire Marshal as their search and rescue coordinator. He is currently program manager for Kansas Task Force 1. Last month, he and others were deployed to the hurricane-ravaged Southeast. Randy and his team did swiftwater rescue in Florida, and then teamed up with North Carolina National Guard to continue search and rescue efforts up there. And then, when the second hurricane hit, they were deployed back to Florida. So Randy doesn't coordinate this from some base in the safe zone. He goes out and does the work, sleeping in tents, eating MREs. So I want to take a moment to thank you, Randy, for your service and the sacrifices that you've made. You've truly made a difference. So now for the wrestling. Randy was a leader by example. He put in the work. He inspired us, teammates, to work harder and expect more from ourselves. Not only did Randy wrestle here at Hays, but in the summer he would wrestle in tournaments also. He told me he went to this tournament in Texas, and it was promoted to be this hotshot tournament and tough tournament. He says, when I got down there, he says, I realized I was only going to wrestle 3 or 4 matches. So he said, I went ahead and entered the next 2 weight classes up. And then he'd win all 3 of them. So I don't know how much of a break they gave you between those matches, championship matches, but it all worked out. In another one of those summer tournaments, he would beat an NCAA, a current NCAA Division I national champion. It was reasons like this or things like this that when we'd walk into a gym, everybody seemed to know who Randy was. And they still do, you know, if they're old enough. Yeah. So the 76-77 season you talked about, Randy was 21-0 going into the national tournament. He would win his first 3 matches, 13-4, 15-6, and 18-2, before getting beat by the eventual national champion. He'd lose 1 more match and fall just outside the All-American placing. Now, that was when they placed 6. They currently place 8, so technically you're a 2-time national or 2-time All-American. He laid out the next year to work and save money so he could come back his last year and wrestle. And that 78-79 team was special. Led by Randy, we would finish 7th at the national tournament, tied with the best finish in the program's history. Randy pinned his first 2 opponents, then won a 19-5 decision over Mike Abrams, 19-5 decision, and then beat Mike Abrams 16-8. So Mike Abrams is the only one I mentioned by name. and that was for a reason, because I want to talk a little bit about him. He was the returning NAIA national champion that year. He would go on to win the NCAA Division II national title and be an NCAA Division I All-American in that '79 season. And then in 2023, he was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. So when Randy retired from Fort Hays Wrestling, he was number 1 in 4 of 7 individual career stats and 3rd of the 8 individual season stats. And he actually only wrestled 2 years because of that skip. So Randy's wrestling did not end at Hays. In 1993, he would finish 3rd in the World Police and Fire Games in Colorado Springs. I checked on their website. They attract some 10,000 athletes from around the world. In the '79 yearbook, Randy's quoted, "I hope my wrestling has helped make people more enthusiastic about the wrestling program here and will eventually get more wrestlers to come to Fort Hays." The program started in 1926 and had 13 All-Americans before the '78-'79 season. There's been 74 All-Americans since then, so mission accomplished. There's a lot more I could say about Randy and the team, but Randy told me I had 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll leave it at that and let you know that it is my pleasure to introduce my friend and hero, Randy Hill.
Set that right here when you come up, Randy. Congratulations, sir.
Wow. There should be a rule when you make the Hall of Fame that you no longer have bad eyesight and you have all your hair back like I had back then, but I'm sure that's probably not something I can work out. So, Mike, thank you so much. You know, I had asked Mike to do this for a couple of reasons. First of all, he sold insurance for over 30 years, and I knew he could make anybody look good. So, but I also wanted to punish him for the times that he came down as a 190-pounder and beat on a poor little 158-pounder and got a vice grip on him. And but Mike, you're a lifelong friend, and thank you. I appreciate it. I guess I don't have to tell everybody in this room how important the people are that help us get to this point, but so I'm gonna recognize a few of them, and there've been a lot. The first person I want to thank has been my biggest supporter for 50 years. She was one of our wrestling cheerleaders at Wamego High. She followed me to Fort Hays, where she graduated in '79, just ahead of me. So in January, we'll celebrate 45 years of marriage. She has blessed me with 3 wonderful kids and a 6-pack of grandkids. She held down the fort on all those 24-hour shifts at the fire department. Like Mike said, I was gone 3 weeks here just not too long ago, and the fact that she stayed home and take care of my Australian Shepherd is something I still can't believe. But she's been my partner. I know I've been a challenge. You know, I probably don't have to tell you all that, you know, wrestlers are probably kind of stubborn and moody. Other wrestlers, not really me, but I wouldn't be where I am without you. You know, if there was a wrestling mat on the floor, this would be a lot easier. I'm still the guy with the gal, believe me. When I was a junior, we got a new wrestling coach in Wamego, and it was truly one of the best things that ever happened to me and that program. Coach Dwight Hammerling had wrestled for K-State, and he was this giant of a man that came in, completely changed the program. He was a role model and a mentor to me. He treated me like a son, hauled me to the emergency room to get my ears worked on, hauled me to the sauna for the first time, and was truly a friend and a coach, and so much more than a coach. I remember telling, and I don't know, Coach, if you remember this, but I remember telling you I was going to be a state champion. I don't remember what you said, but the look told me that you believed it, and that meant so much. I knew when I left high school I was going to teach and coach, and I went to Pratt and then to Fort Hays, and I was going to teach and coach, and that was the goal. And most of you in this room are probably too young to remember that 1980 was a pretty bad recession, and that's why I actually applied with the fire department because I thought it'd be a great schedule to work out and have days off, and I fell in love with that job, and you know, I thought coach's influence was over, but when I retired in 2012, they cleaned out my personnel packet. And there was a letter he had written to the fire chief. And I have no doubt that you were instrumental in me getting the job in the first place as a fireman with the Leawood Fire Department. Coach, thank you so much. You've done so much for wrestling, and I just really appreciate everything you've done for me and Rod, my brother, over the years. And I can tell you that my granddaughter's wrestling at Wamego, and Kevin Brown, another Fort Hays grad, is the coach there now. So the team's in good hands, and I really appreciate you letting me sit by Matt's side and watch her try to throw the headlock. I tell everybody she lives or dies by the headlock, but you know, I was fortunate enough when I came to Hays and transferred in as a sophomore. I was fortunate enough to have a bunch of super upperclassmen, and Coach Barry Allen, who had recruited me in high school. You know, people like Stan Higley, Scott Warner, Rich Settle, and Mr. Fitness, Dave Rockholz, came all the way from North Dakota. Dave, besides owning and operating a fitness center later in life and all the things in the Hall of Fame as an official and so on, we're on a wrestling trip, and the thing I remember so much about Dave is somebody challenged everybody to some push-ups. And I thought I was in pretty good shape. Not near as good a shape as him. He just sat down, ripped out 100 push-ups like he was eating breakfast, and it was just, what a stud. Made me realize I had some work to do, Dave. Thanks for that. I want to next sincerely thank the teammates on the 78-79 team and all the classes there. I consider them lifelong friends, and I'm super proud. I ask all the time, how in the world did Barry Allen recruit a bunch of kids from Kansas with no scholarship money and win regional tournament and place 7th in the nation? I can't tell you how many people at nationals were coming up and going, who are these kids from Hays, Kansas? And by the way, where is Hays, Kansas? So it was really fantastic. You know, Mike and I, in 2015, we traveled to Taylorville to visit Coach Allen and his family. And, you know, his family was so instrumental, too, because we'd have pasta dinners over there all the time. And so the morning we were leaving Taylorville, Coach took us to McDonald's, where, of course, all of his buddies were having coffee. And you would have thought we were rock stars. Everybody in there knew us. They knew what the 78-79 team had done. And it was just amazing to how much he was so proud. So I know he's looking down now. We unfortunately lost him in 2017, and Wayne and Mike and I were fortunate to go out there and say our goodbyes to Coach Allen. But I know he's looking down, and I know he's proud. of all of you and the things that you've accomplished even after wrestling. In closing, I just want to thank the sport of wrestling. I think it's given me so much confidence, ability to set goals and achieve goals, and I think it's the sport of wrestling is responsible for everything that I've accomplished in my life and you know, on the mat and off, of course. So again, thanks to the university, thanks to the selection committee, thanks to Toby, wherever you are. I know how much work you and your staff have done, so thank you so much. Again, thank you.
I love saying this part. Sorry, Toby, I'll back off there. Congrats, Randy Hill, and welcome to the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. Our next inductee could not make it today, but if you please bear with me, I'd like to read his bio here. A native of Emporia, Kansas, Don Carter was a 5-time NAIA All-American performer for the Tigers and set 6 school records in jumping events, competing from 1985 to 1987. As a sophomore in 1985, he placed second nationally in both outdoor triple jump and high jump. He set the school triple jump record that year with 51 feet 3/4 inches and also was the high jump record at 7 feet and 1/2 inches. His triple jump record still stands today, as no Tiger during the NCAA Division II era has ever gone past the 50 feet mark. During the 1986 indoor season, Carter was District 10 champion, both triple jump and high jump, and went on to claim All-America honors at the NAIA National Meet, finishing 4th in the triple jump and 5th in the high jump. Carter nabbed his final All-America honor during the indoor season of '87 with a 4th place finish in the high jump. He still owns 3 records at Fort Hays State University, standing nearly 40 years, which includes outdoor triple jump, indoor high jump, and the indoor triple jump. He and Steve Broxerman, a Tiger Sports Hall of Fame member, are the only Tigers to eclipse the 7-foot high jump barrier in the program's NAIA history. And it was only eclipsed once outdoors at the Division II era by Matt Bixenman. At the end of his career, Carter crowned all 6 Fort Hays records, both indoor and outdoor triple jump. Carter and John Mason still own the most individual Fort Hays State records among athletes that competed in the program's NAIA area, both with 3. Accepting on Don Carter's behalf is Mr. Mike Philly. Mike, could you please come up? While Mike is making his way up, let's give a nice hand to Mr. Don Carter. Want to say something?
Hello. Talked to Don this morning. He wanted to send his apologies for not being able to be here. He also wanted to congratulate all the other Hall of Famers and thank the committee for his induction. I was Don's teammate for 3 years, and we were kind of the black sheep era of Fort Hays. We didn't get to run or jump for Coach Francis, and we weren't one of Jim Krubb's kids. During that 7-year period from 1980 to 87, Joe Fisher was the coach at Fort Hays State. And Don just wanted to express his thank you to Coach Fisher for bringing him in. It's not on his induction stuff, but Don was originally recruited to also be a gymnast. So in the early 80s, they still had a men's gymnastics program. And so when he came here, he was a gymnast and was an All-American gymnast before they discontinued the program, and then he stayed with track. He only had 3 years of competing here, so he ended up transferring to K-State to graduate from there in social work, and has still been doing that. And then 10 years after he got done with school, he still competed in track and field and ended up jumping 7'3" in the high jump and 53 foot in the triple jump. So, and competed at KU relays until he was 40 years old. So a phenomenal athlete. And I just wanted to say those things, and he just asked me to, again, thank everybody for him being inducted, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Don Carter, and welcome to the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. Our next inductee, Chris Capitini, a native of Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Chris was a two-time NAIA All-America selection at tight end, 1990 and 91 teams. First of all, we're exciting because I was in school, and tied the school record for wins in a season. He was a key blocker for the Tigers and helped the Tigers set a school record for rushing yards in a season with 2,996 yards on the ground, a record that stood for 24 years. Presenting our next inductee is Kevin Wright. Kevin, can you make your way up?
Thanks, sir.
You bet. You bet.
All right. What an honor it is to be here today. First thing I want to do is thank anybody and everybody in this room that has anything to do with these athletic facilities here. As a guy that was here in the late 80s, early 90s, just wow. It really makes you proud to be a Tiger when you come back. So thank you to everybody here. The campus looks great. Like I said, just really good to be a Tiger. All right, I'm a little nervous today because I get to talk about one of my favorite subjects. Reason I like to talk about him is because he never really talked about himself. He wasn't built like that. What Cap was going to do is he was going to outwork you, and he was going to dominate you on the field. That's how he did his talking. So anytime I get a chance to be his hype man, I jump at the opportunity. I met Cap in January of 1989. He was coming off a redshirt freshman year where he played all over the D-line, got a lot of playing time, probably undersized, defensive tackle, defensive end. I was a transfer coming in from another college, just thankful that Fort Hays was giving me an opportunity to come home. I decided I was going to transfer kind of late. It's kind of a mess. And anyway, I didn't get everything kind of cleared until, I think school was already going for like a week and a half into that semester. So I got called up by the coaching staff once I got cleared and went up there, and a graduate assistant coach took me to go get enrolled in my classes, took me to go get my books, showed me where campus was, or all my classes were. And then he looked, says, we got to go to practice. I said, practice? We talking about practice? And he didn't find that very funny, and he looked at me and said, yeah, practice. So we head back up to Gross Memorial, and like I said, it was the middle of January, and the team was already doing their off-season workouts and practices, and they were in the back of the Hyper gym, in one of the gyms in Hyper. So we went back there, and they had just finished stretching and getting ready to do some drills, and the graduate assistant coach introduced me to Cap and paired me up with him. Now, the reason I like to tell that story is because that graduate assistant coach is now the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy. And I'm not a big Cowboy fan, but I love the connection to Fort Hays, and I love the connection to Cap. I quickly realized that Coach McCarthy loved Cap, and I quickly found out why. We became best friends, joined at the hip, almost inseparable. We had the same interests. We were always together. And as a matter of fact, in summers, we would stay in Hays, and we'd go work out in the afternoon. Well, heck, if I'm being honest, he'd go work out in the afternoon, and I'd spot him. Then we'd get cleaned up and we'd go umpire a doubleheader of some Hayes Little League baseball up off Vine Street. And that'd get done about 10 o'clock at night, and then we went to one of the late night establishments and worked there till 2 or 3 in the morning. And we did that every day. And the reason I say that is because I got to see Cap in all facets of life. As a teammate, in the work, in the weight room, on the job, in the community. He never took a snap off, he never took a rep off. He would simply do the right thing to do for no other reason than it was the right thing to do. I know it sounds cliche, and I would think it was cliche too if I didn't witness it, but the guy in 40 years has never taken a rep off. It doesn't matter if it was a game rep, practice rep, a 6 a.m. weight rep on a squat rack, a 12-hour shift at work. It doesn't matter. He was consistent, and he was going to outwork everybody and do the right thing. I quickly came up with my definition of character from being around Cap. My son and his friends that I coached since they were kids will probably say I overused it too much. To me, that's impossible because I saw what hard work and character will get you in life. And it's a winning combination. But I quickly defined the word character as what you do when nobody's looking. Now, it was easy for people to, give 110% rep, or when a coach is standing over yelling at them. It was easy for some people to act like they were engaged in class when a teacher was calling on them. But Cap was all about it. He was the first one to practice, last one to leave. He was on every special teams. Never late. Never late to a meeting, never late to a workout, nothing. If a guard went down and Cap was at tight end, coach could have put him at guard and he would know his assignment on every single play. He was prepared. He was a coach's dream. Cap went to class every day. He sat in the front row. He engaged with his professors. And for that, he was named the 1991-92 Gross Memorial Male Student Athlete of the Year, which was a great honor and a deserving honor for him. So let's fast forward to 1989. President Hammond had brought in a new athletic director, Dr. Tom Spicer, to Fort Hays. And the football team, we went 3-7 that year. And we greatly needed a culture change. So Dr. Hammond and Mr. Spicer brought in Coach Bob Cortez from Mesa State. And I'll never forget at Coach's first meeting, he said, listen, if you're a cancer to my team, I'm going to cut you. He said, I don't care what a coach told you before. I don't care what position you play. I don't care how highly you recruited. I don't care who your mom and dad were. If you're a cancer, I'm cutting you. Well, that 3-7 team had some dogs on it. I'm telling you, there were some dudes on it. It was probably the most talented group of individuals I've ever seen. But we went 3-7. So Cortez comes in, and he does exactly what he says he's going to do. He's sending guys on bus tickets home that, everybody's looking around like, wow. He quickly turned that team, the 3-7 team in '89, to an 8-3 team that made the playoffs for the first time in school history. One year, first year. And if you don't know how that's done and how quickly you can change your culture, I'll give you a good reason why. When your best player is your hardest worker, when your best player is going to class every day, that's how you quickly change a culture. And Cap was pivoted in that, along with fellow Hall of Famers Mike Allen and Greg Yost. They were about it, and I don't think I know Cat played a pivotal part in the culture change within the football at Fort Hays State. Let's fast forward a couple years. I started raising my family and settled down in a small town in southern Johnson County outside of Kansas City. And I began working for a correctional facility, as a work release facility. Well, what I was doing, me and my wife just started our family. We didn't have any money. So my wife was working the morning shift and I was working the evening shift. So, you know, I'd wake up with the kids, feed them breakfast, we'd go to the gym, whatever. They'd hang out with me all day. I'd strap them in the car seat, go to work, and my wife would be there in our other car. She would get out of that car, get in the one with the kids in it, and go home, and I'd go to work. We thought we was living the dream because a parent was with our children every minute of every day. The other, we had no daycare costs, man, so that was huge. So a few years later, Cap moves into the town with his new family, not a little south of me, but in the area. And I think he's working for Goodyear. He's selling tires, and I think he's doing 200 or 300 miles a day on the road, working his butt off for this tire company. Well, he sees what I'm doing, not having paid daycare. He says, "Bub, I think I want me a little bit of that." Well, I said, "Cap, they'd hire you in a minute. They'd be lucky to have you." So sure enough, Cap gets hired and he calls me. He says, "Hey, I got the job. You know, they told me blah, blah. I got to go get my do this. So that night, I remember it being a shift change. And it was midnight, so we didn't do it we would do it in what we call a control center. And I was telling everybody, "Oh, my boy got a job. You know, he's going to come work with us." Now, he hadn't done his physical, haven't met with HR. He just let me know that he got the word. And everybody's like, "Oh, what's he like? What's he like?" I said, "Take it however you want to, but we're all going to be working for him one day." And they kind of looked at me like that was a weird thing to say. And I just know the guy's character. He's just built different. For the last 15, 20 years, he's been the operations commander of that facility that has probably tripled in size under his tutelage, under his eye, and has developed so many community-based programs and services, like a women's battered shelter for beds, juveniles with no runaways, with no place to go. That place is just blown up under his tutelage, and I'm surprised he's here today and not working, to be honest with you. He's one of those guys that already have the use it or lose it time, so they're forcing him to take time off or he's got to pay it back. So, in closing, Coach Cortese would always say, "If I had 11 Capitinis, I wouldn't lose a freaking game." Well, Coach, you were right about that. If you had 11 Capitinis, you'd never lose. But there's only one, and he's now a Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the newest member, Fort Hays State Hall of Fame, class of 2024, my boy, Chris Capitini.
Congratulations. Well, I don't know how I can follow that up. So I will tell you when, I know I talked to Gerard a little bit, but apparently Fort Hays State doesn't have my phone number. So they called my wife in July, and I don't know what they said, but I know I was working later that night, and I get home, she runs out to the car, and she takes my cell phone. I'm like, "What did I do?" What did I do? Well, apparently she surprised me. She had the kids call on a Zoom call when she let me know that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I hope they have my phone number now, but it was a surreal moment. And about 2 weeks ago, she says, so why don't you read me your speech? I said, speech? What speech? She says, you're not going to write it down, are you? I said, well, I don't know. So we're driving here yesterday, and she said, you want to practice your speech now? And I said, yeah, not yet. We'll work on that. She goes, at least put down bullet points. So last night, I don't know what time it was, we had just gotten back from having dinner, and I started writing down some bullet points. So we'll see what we can do. She says, well, what are you supposed to say? I don't know. I said, I don't know. They didn't give me any direction. They just said, you're going to accept your award. I said, okay. They don't know what they're in for. All right. She said, what's your time limit? I said, they didn't give me one. She goes, oh, God. I said, all right. You know, I was a communications major at Fort Hays State University, so yeah, I can talk, and I do like the sound of my own voice. But we'll try to keep it as short as I possibly can. First, I'd like to thank my family and friends that are here. You know, my parents had passed away a few years ago, and my sister has passed away, and I couldn't ask for a better group of family and friends, as you all just met. And my wife went to Fort Hays State University, and she still has a hard time calling Kevin Wright, who just spoke, Kevin, because he'll forever be Bubba. So he was Bubba. I was Cap, he was Bubba. So that establishment we worked in, people thought we were the same person, Captain Bubba. People would walk up and say, I need to talk to Captain Bubba. They say, which one? But best man at my wedding, best friend I've had. He's been by my side all these years, and I can't appreciate more the words he said and the friendship I've had with him over the years. Also, one of my best friends, also a best man at my wedding, GWMG from Denver. Him and his kids are here, and you know, those two have always supported me my whole life. My two kids, PJ and Julia, are here. They obviously, well, thankfully weren't around when I was at Fort Hays State University. But, you know, they've been great kids. I coached all their sports, and we've had some good times. And as Bubba said, we were, when I worked the evening shift out there, boy, we'd make breakfast, and we'd go to story hour. And, you know, it was well known in Paola, Kansas, that I was the baddest mom in town. Nobody messed with me, you know. And my wife would get super mad because I'd be doing all the shopping, and she'd be with me sometimes. And, you know, Billy's mom, hey, Mr. Cap, what's going on? And she's, I'm supposed to know the mom's not you. Sorry, this is what I do. Also, my brother-in-law and his wife, Kyle and Katie Hayden, are here. Kyle really probably had it the hardest because my junior year here at Fort Hays was the year that I moved to tight end, and I was an All-American tight end and captain of the football team. And Kyle was a red shirt. And about February that year, I started dating his sister. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably hard for him, but I like his sister. So, hey, he'll get over it. And he did. But I tried to, you know, we didn't talk about it. And then, of course, my wife, Erin, she, you know, for 5 years we didn't have any children after we were married, and she spent 5 years raising me. And then we had kids, so I kind of knew what was going on at that time. So, you know, we learned from there. So she has always been by my side, and without her, I don't know where I'd be. So my wife of 31 years, Erin Capitini. So I thank you guys for coming. I do want to thank the Fort Hays Hall of Fame committee for the election into the Hall of Fame. It's an honor. And, you know, something I never expected. I know Bubba's been telling me for years, they got to let you in, Cap. They got to let you in. So, well, we'll see. But I'd also like to thank Fort Hays State University, because I don't know where I'd be today without Fort Hays State University. And when I was talking to Gerard a couple weeks ago, you know, I was from Wheat Ridge High School, right outside of Denver, and still metro, I mean, middle of the metro. But I was dead set. I knew exactly where I was going to college. I was going to the University of Northern Colorado. I was going to be a Bear, right? A lot of kids that I knew went there. A lot of, you know, it was NCAA Division II. They were recruiting me to play football. I was all excited about it. I'm going to University of Northern Colorado. I told Fort Lewis and Adams State and Western State, nah, I'm going to University of Northern Colorado. Signing day came, and the University of Northern Colorado gave me a call, and I'm like, oh, here it is. I'm going to be a Bear. Yeah, we want you to walk on. And at the time, I didn't have the grades for a scholarship. My parents had gone bankrupt. I didn't have anything. There's no way I could walk on. I could not go to a university without a scholarship. So I'm like, all right, here it is. I'm going to go dig ditches. I'm going to do something, do something for a living. And shortly after that, my high school football coach called me down to the office, Ed Stevens, owe a lot to him. And he said, hey, I got this letter for you. And he hands it to me, and I look at it, and I said, what's an FHSU? Somebody said earlier that people don't even know where Hays, Kansas is. I had no clue. I lived 5 hours away and had no idea where it was. But within a week, I was loading up my car, my mom's car, actually, because I didn't have one, picking up a kid from Littleton, Colorado, to come out on a recruiting trip. Never met him before in my life. Came out here to Fort Hays, got a speeding ticket on the way. Thank you. I donated to the Colorado Highway Patrol. Got here about 2 hours late. I think we actually stopped in Colby because we were supposed to be here, and I called from a payphone. Those of you who are younger, we used to have those things. And the Coach Vincent answered, and I said, yeah, I'm in Colby. I got no idea where I am. He said, keep going on I-70. I said, all right. So we showed up here, and we were late, and, we talked to him, did some film study. Then my football player that was taking me around, I remember his last name was Sylvester. He took us to a party at the Bird family farm. And I believe that's just west of town, big old farmhouse, bunch of college kids live there. And like any good 18-year-old, I'm looking around at this bonfire, and I'm a city boy, right? I don't know nothing about a bonfire. And I'm like, man, there's like 4-to-1 female to male ratio here. This is awesome. Yes, I'm coming to school here, right? This is great. And, I signed the next day. Of course, they didn't know I didn't have anywhere else to go. But I'm like, this is great. I come out to school here, and of course, I'm like, where did I sign up to be? You only have one McDonald's. I mean, come on. Where I'm from, there's a McDonald's every 6 blocks. You got one McDonald's. And I don't even think we had a Burger King then. I'm like, holy cow. So I'm walking around campus. We're doing football practice, and I'm asking Sylvester, who took me on my recruiting trip. I said, hey, man, there's like a 4-to-1 women to man ratio here. What's going on? He said, oh, that party we took you to? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, that was the last night of the NAIA Girls National Gymnastics Championship. None of those girls go to school here. I said, okay, well, I was coming anyway, so we're going to make that happen. So I ended up at Fort Hays. Fort Hays really took me in. I wish I could remember her name, but the manager of Weast Hall, which I don't even think is there anymore, where I lived there 5 years, but I believe her name was Lisa. And every year it seemed like my roommate would transfer out or find another roommate. And every year I'd be like, hey, this is scholarship as a half a room, so put anybody in you want to. And she's like, I got you, Cap. I said, all right. So I ended up having my own room for most of the years I was here. Hopefully she didn't get in trouble for that. Fort Hays really took me in, and everything I have today, I owe to Fort Hays State University. For the kid who in the spring of 1987 didn't even know what an FHSU was, I don't know where I'd be without him. I would also like to thank my coaches, and Bubba kind of stole my thunder. My first position coach when I came to school here was Mike McCarthy, yeah, that one. And we always loved his Philadelphia accent or his Pennsylvania accent, but he was a real good guy. I know when he got the job for the Green Bay Packers, I called my brother-in-law Kyle. I said, you think Coach Mack will give me a shot? He's like, probably not. I said, okay. Also Bob Cortese. So Kevin tells a story. We got Bob Cortese in. I was actually back in Denver staying with my sister, and I picked up the Rocky Mountain News, and right before we were coming back, and I'm thumbing through it, and I see that Bob Cortese hired at Fort Hays State University. And being from Denver, I knew Bob Cortese. He came to my high school when I was a senior and kind of recruited some of us. You can say recruited. He came in there and yelled at us and said, "You will never play for me. If you come to my university, you'll be a fifth-year senior and you might be a backup." And I'm like, who is this guy and why can't we send him back for where he's from? So I remember reading that paper. I'm like, no, I ain't going back. And, you know, I thought about it for a little bit and I told my sister, I said, I ain't going back. She goes, where else are you going to go? I said, okay, I guess I'll give it a shot. And, you know, for years I thought, I did play defense for a couple years. I was a red shirt, and then my first 2 years of eligibility, I played on the defensive end, defensive line. And part of the story is the offense was a run and shoot offense. So we didn't have a tight end on the team. So I always thought, I've been telling the story for years, that Cortez came in and he knew me from high school, right? Because I played tight end in high school as well as defensive end. And he's like, yeah, I know this kid from high school. Well, I found out today from Coach Peterson down here that Cortez goes into the defense, and we had a strong defense. You know, you're not 8-3 unless you can really play some defense. And we had multiple All-Americans on that defensive team. And Bub mentioned some, Greg Yost, Mike Allen, Kevin Wright, first-team All-American. So we, and some guys who could really play. And Coach walks into the defensive meeting and says, you're going to have to give me a play off a tight end. And they're like, hey, we got our defense. You worry about your tight end for you. And he said, by the end of the day, I need a tight end. And apparently that was me. And it worked out really, really well for me. So part of me says, thanks for giving me away, Coach. The other part said it really worked out well for me. So I was happy to hear that story. But Coach moved me over there, and Kevin said it very eloquently. Coach loved me, and he didn't love everybody, but you know, even the ones he loved, he was really hard on. So you know, you had to do the right thing. I would also like to thank, and this is all the players that I played with. You know, I did play with some All-Americans. I played with Tyrone Tracy, who was just a freak athlete. Mike Allen, as Bub mentioned, Greg Yost, really great players. And then at the end of my career, a couple freshmen, Dustin McEwen and Clint Bedore were on the team. Also, I do have a little bit of a story you women's basketball players might remember. So we'd stay here in the summers and we'd go up and we'd play pickup basketball up at the intramural gyms. Kevin and I would, and then some other guys would show up. But mostly it was basketball players, guys on the basketball team. And we get up there, and I'm a post player, right? I don't dribble. Just give me the ball at the post. Every time I'd have to match up with Annette Wiles. Every time. And if you knew Annette Wiles, boy, she would own me. Little baby hook to the left, baby hook to the right. Annette, can you lay up on me a little bit? She's like, nope, can't let it happen. And she is a state of Kansas Hall of Famer. So if you knew Annette, she could really play. But a lot of those people, Annette included, they're the kind of All-Americans and Hall of Famers you have on a 3-7 team. They're just freak athletes. Me, that's not me. I needed a team. I needed the whole team. I needed the other All-Americans, Hall of Famers I played with. I needed all the other starters. I needed a great coach and a great culture. I needed the scout team, because a guy like me isn't an All-American unless you win 16 games in 2 years. If we won 6 games in 2 years, there's no way I would be standing up here today regardless of any awards that I received. So, you know, props to all of them, and I am the worst Facebook friend ever, and I don't ever post anything, but I think tonight I'll post something to all those guys that I played with, that this is for you guys too. This is what we strived for at the time, and without you, I'd have never been here. You know, some of the memories I have from Fort Hays, just the road trips. I never knew what a Shoney's was until we went on road trips, and now if I ever see a Shoney's, man, give me that breakfast buffet. They'd see us coming off the bus, and you'd see all the people like, we better get out of the way. They'd be filling up the bacon. You know, I got a few stories I can't tell, but I'll never forget being up at the university in northern Iowa, and a certain person I know that used to go to school there got to go out with his parents, and coming up the hotel elevator with a backpack full of beer, coach was on the elevator with him, so he's trying not to jiggle his backpack. Those were some of the good times. And then, of course, the 4 guys in a room. If you ever tried to put four football players in a hotel room, the thing was, throw the mattress on the floor. Who wants the mattress? Who wants the box spring? I mean, that's what we're sleeping on. Some of the things we had to do here. But I like to say that we got Fort Hays their AstroTurf because we called it Astro Dirt. Hayes and TMP played every Friday night on the field, and then we'd play on Saturdays. And I believe my senior year it rained every Friday, so it was just one solid piece of concrete that we were playing on. And then they got AstroTurf. So hey, I remember the 5-a-days, sleeping in the locker room because you didn't want to take the time and energy to walk back to your dorm room. And you can't replace those days. You also can't replace some of the memories you just had with people. My boy Bub and I can remember it was about 2 days before spring break. I want to say it was 1990. And some of the freshman kids we knew were like, hey, we got a van. We're going to go to Padre Island. Where are you staying? We don't know. Okay, I got $157 in the bank. Let's go. Great decision. Great memories, though. You can't replace times like that. And I believe my new girlfriend was like, you're doing what? I said, yeah, we're going to Padre. And Kevin brought up playing umpiring baseball. Quite a few years back now, I was coaching my son's traveling baseball team, and we were playing the Hayes Hurricanes. And one of the coaches comes up to me and says, you're Cap, aren't you? I said, yeah. He says, I was on the Hayes. You used to umpire me. I'm like, wow, hey, at least somebody remembers you, right? But I've had a lot of friendships here, and I appreciate being honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And the last thing I want to do, and I did it for Gerard when I was on his podcast, is I'm going to throw a shameless plug out there. There's a couple guys from that 90. I would now be the only one from the 91 team. Well, I guess McEwen and Bedore are both in, but they made their hay after that. But we had a couple guys on that team that hopefully I can come back and honor sometime. One of them being Bubba Wright back there. He is, at the time, and I don't know if it's ever happened, Gerard could probably tell me, but at the time was the only Fort Hays State athlete to ever be the National Player of the Week. He's got a good story about his interview that he gave for that one. But he's also a first-team All-American, and he's one of those guys that you wouldn't run. We were playing Panhandle State one year, and they could not run, and we were killing them, so they couldn't run to the left side. Bub was just killing them. They pulled Bub out of the game. They started running to the left side, put Bub back in the game, and I think he had 3 tackles for loss and walked over to the other coach and said, not today. And there was Hayes Daily News had a picture of that on the paper. And then the other one would be Dave Lannon, who was offensive tackle, 2-year All-American, well-deserving. I could tell you the time we went and played Emporia State, and a gentleman on their team named Leon Lett, 2-time All-Pro NFL, 3-time Super Bowl champion, didn't have a tackle that day because Dave Lannon just ate him up all day. So I'd love to see some more of those guys, some more of my teammates in. But again, I just thank Fort Hays State University, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chris Capitini, and welcome to the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. Don't forget that. That's right. Our next inductee is a native of the big city of Baileyville, Kansas. Darcy was a 7-time All-America performer in track and field and just 2 years of eligibility at Fort Hays State. She was a 2010 NCAA Division II indoor national champion in long jump and national runner-up in the triple jump. Owns both the indoor and outdoor records in long jump and triple jump at Fort Hays State University. We have a unique introduction here, so if you'd please bear with me and you can pay attention to either this back screen or the screen here on the other side, and Toby is going to play us a quick video, and the introduction is by James Gilden.
Good morning, Tiger Nation. I apologize for not being able to be with you this morning, but I'm extremely grateful to be sharing this moment with you, Darcy. My name is James Gilden, and I was an assistant track and field coach at Fort Hays State University from 2007 to 2012 under head coach Dennis Weber. I have to give a huge shout out to Coach Weber, as he was the one that recruited Darcy and gave me the opportunity to coach her. So as we proceed, I'd like to shift by telling you a story about who Darcy is. So let me give you some context before I tell this story. So this is toward the end of her career, 2011, and at that point she was already a highly accomplished athlete, four-time All-American, had a national championship under her belt in the long jump, and so in 2011 was her senior year, and so we're trying to finish things out on a super high note. And so we thought that, you know, making the change to the runway and allowing her to add or have more speed coming down the runway would kind of get us some higher marks. And so we made the change to go from 16 steps to 19 steps, 16 to 18 steps. And while that's only 2 steps, there's a lot of technical and speed idiosyncrasies that need to be ironed out. And so as we're approaching the indoor championship, you know, we made the change. And so we get there, and make a long story short, things didn't go as planned. Not only did we not win conference, we didn't achieve the mark that we needed to be able to qualify for nationals that year in the long jump. And this is coming from the reigning national champion a year ago in 2010. And so needless to say, it was definitely disappointing in terms of the result. And I, for one, took it really hard. And kind of had a victim mentality about it. Usually, you know, Darcy and I, at some point throughout the meet, regardless of what meet it is, we'll kind of get together and kind of chat about how the day went and just kind of, you know, review and decompress, if you will. So anyway, I was kind of, energy was off and kind of not in a good space. And when we had that opportunity to connect and kind of review and the day, you know, in true Darce fashion, you know, I started to, you know, apologize to her, and I'm sorry. You know, maybe we should have changed, and we needed more time, and so on and so forth, and just kind of going down a rabbit hole. And when I was done talking, she just said, "At least this didn't happen to me outdoor," and so that just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks in terms of who she is and the character that she's displayed during her time at Fort Hays State University, just the perspective she had in that moment. And so she really helped me out in that moment and helped me get through that moment by just changing perspective. And usually that's the job of a coach to an athlete, but that day I had the opportunity to learn and grow from Darcy, and so I appreciate that. And again, that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart to this day. And so that story there just kind of gives you a little bit of glimpse of who she is. You know, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of is who she is and who she's become since our time at Fort Hays State University. So without any further ado, let me start to present the 2024 Hall of Fame class inductee, Mrs. Darcy Reardon. She's the owner of 4 Fort Hays State University school records. She holds the indoor long jump and triple jump record. She holds the outdoor long jump and triple jump record. She's been a 7-time all MIAA performer, and she's a 7-time NCAA Division II first team All-American. And with that, she's the 2010 indoor national champion in the long jump. Darce, it was an amazing opportunity to coach you. You allowed me and helped me grow so much into the profession. I owe a lot to you and learned a lot from you. It just speaks to, you know, where we were at that time and the fact that, you know, we still have a relationship to this day, and we can share this memory and this awesome accomplishment today. And so.
Darcy? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Darcy Schmitz.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who know me well, public speaking isn't exactly my forte, so please bear with me. It's with immense gratitude that I stand before you today, truly honored by this recognition. First and foremost, I want to thank God for the abilities I've been blessed with. I'd also like to express my sincere gratitude to the selection committee for their thoughtful consideration and to Fort Hays State University for this prestigious award. My passion for competition ignited at a young age, whether it was during field day at school, playing flag football or soccer in the yard, or hitting the volleyball court with my family. While winning was thrilling, what I cherished the most was the joy of winning together. Fort Hays State holds countless cherished memories for me. From watching my older siblings compete at state, to playing alongside my sister Krista at the state volleyball tournament, to proudly representing the Fort Hays State University track and field team and winning a national championship. This place has shaped who I am. It was also here that I met my husband Mark and began my career as a graphic designer. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the countless individuals who have supported me throughout my journey. Your encouragement, guidance, and belief have been instrumental to my success. A special thank you to my parents, Giles and Roxy, for their unwavering love and support. Your belief in me has been the driving force behind my career. Pregnancy hormones. I'm also deeply grateful to my siblings, my spouse, and all the family and friends who have stood by me during my athletic journey. Finally, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to my coaches, Coach Gilden, Coach Weber, my uncle, Coach Ted Schmitz, my high school coach, Coach Tiernan, and to all my teammates who have been part of this incredible journey. Your presence in my life has made me not just a better athlete, but a better person. As I stand here, I am filled with gratitude and a profound sense of accomplishment. Being inducted into the Fort Hays Hall of Fame is about more than the records and the accolades. It's about the moments that shape me, the friendships forged, the lessons learned, and the joy of competition. A wise coach once said, "Don't be complacent. There's always something new to learn, and strive to be better than you were yesterday." Thank you once again for this incredible honor. I hope that one day I'll have the privilege of watching my own daughters compete to surpass my records here at Fort Hays. Thank you.
I love hearing young voices at these events because President Mason just told me that everybody that's under the age of 14 gets a full ride to come to Fort Hays. Just kidding, but you know, we can work something out. No, seriously, it's awesome to hear young voices. Congratulations, Darcy Schmitz, and welcome to the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. Hopefully my stuff is still in my office on Monday morning. Our next inductee, due to some scheduling conflicts, could not be here today, but I'm excited to read his bio. Dominic Jones, a native of Harlem, New York. Dominic played 2 seasons at Fort Hays State from 09 to 11, serving as the team's point guard. He was a State Farm NABC All-America First Team, Division II Bulletin All-America in 11, and led the nationally ranked Tiger team with just over 17 points and 6.3 assists per game. That season, he scored 592 points, dishing out 207 assists, helping the Tigers to a 26-7 overall record while earning all MIAA First Team honors, MIAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player, and helped the Tigers to the MIAA Tournament Championship. Jones helped the Tigers to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances in both 2010 and 2011. The Tigers posted an overall record of 49-14 over the 2 years. A two-time All-MIAA first-team selection, Jones nearly scored 1,000 points in 2 years at Fort Hays with 983. He led the Tigers in scoring each year, 5.1 assists per game average, ranks 5th in program history, and his 324 assists overall ranks 8th in Fort Hays State program history. Following his time at Fort Hays State, Jones eventually became a superstar professionally on the FIBA 3-on-3 World Tour for several years, and in 2019 was named the 3x3-on-3 World Tour MVP. For a good length of time, Jones was the #1 ranked 3-on-3 World Tour player in the United States. He also enjoyed a brief stint with the Harlem Globetrotters in the summer of 2015. And as one of the top players in the United States, he earned his way to become a member of Team USA and helped lead the United States to a gold medal in the 2019 Pan American Games in Lima, Peru. Jones was also a member of the U.S. Olympic qualifying team in 2020. I understand that we are going to try to get Dom to come back, and I know a lot of you had the pleasure of watching an incredible athlete. I enjoyed watching him and announcing him when I had the opportunity to do that at some games. So please, without further ado, let's give a nice round of applause to Mr. Dominic Jones. Our next inductee, Kate Lehman, who I also got to watch a lot. A native of Newton, Kansas, Kate played for 4 seasons at Fort Hays State from 11 to 15. Lehman was an academic All-American selection, All-Central Regional selection, All-Defensive Team, All-Tournament Team, MIAA Player of the Year, and the BennettRank.com National Player of the Year her senior year. Lehman put together the most decorated career by a Tiger in the program's NCAA Division II history as far as awards are concerned. Presenting our last inductee, Mr. Tony Hobson. Tony? Sure.
I was hoping you didn't read all of it. Well, it's an honor for me to get to do this for Kate. I certainly don't have a lack of material to use for her. She wrote herself into the Fort Hays State record books and the MIAA record books, and I'll mention some of the records she holds because she probably doesn't know them herself. I mean, she probably doesn't know the records she has, because if you know Kate at all, like her teammates did and I do, it was always way down the priority list was the stat sheet. I've coached players over the years that the first thing they wanted to see after a game was a stat sheet, and she was not interested in anything when it came to personal stats or awards. She was interested in getting better as a player, helping her teammates be better, and winning games. And really, a coach's dream when it came to coaching her, because that's just what you want your kids to do. Now, if I get emotional, it's not from pregnancy hormones. It's because, that Kate just means a lot to me as a player. So just some of her career records here at Fort Hays State. She's the all-time leading rebounder, all-time leading shot blocker, second-time all-leading scorer. She also, I think she made the most free throws in history, over 500. She got fouled constantly, always played hurt. She's the only player in Fort Hays State history to have 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. And then you throw in her over 500 blocks. So you go 1,000, close to 2,000 points, over 500 blocks. it's a pretty decent stat line. She broke the blocks record. I believe she was a sophomore. Well, I know she was a sophomore. I think it was the 1st of February, and the block record was like 160 some, and she broke it then. Ended up with 515, almost tripled the record. Her career record here as a player was 93 wins, 28 losses. She was on the team as a freshman that started the 20-win streak that we're still on today, and I was just talking to Talia, and she guaranteed it would continue on this year. So I think that's setting at 14, or I don't know. I lose track. But she was kind of with that class that started that, along with a few of the returners. She was in a good recruiting class, if I remember right, which it's possible that I don't. Carrie Ann Shaw came in that year with Kate, another Kate Edwards, and then I believe Janelle Durler was a returner that probably had as much to do with Kate's development as any other player. Janelle worked with her hour after hour. That was same position to get her better, and I've never seen it before, knowing that when Kate improved a little bit, she was going to replace Janelle in the starting lineup, and Janelle's playing time went from quite a bit to almost zero overnight, but that's the kind of kid she was. Kate was surrounded with other really good players and good teammates that were just like her, unselfish, and just kind of wanted to win and knew what it took. One of them sitting here, Paige. Paige, the reason she played all the time was she knew where the ball needed to go, and that was into Kate most of the time. Ellie Stein's here. She was Kate's backup, and it kind of gave Kate free reign, a license to, I called it a license to kill, like the 007. She didn't have to worry so much about getting in foul trouble because we had such a capable player to come in after her. But they had some good days in practice going after each other. Kate had a great work ethic, probably why she was so successful, or one of the main reasons. I'd like to take credit for that, but maybe a little bit channeling it towards basketball. But she had a great work ethic when she showed up. That usually starts with parents. So parents, good job. She watched somebody work really hard growing up. It's probably you. So I don't really go many places today without coffee. So still have it today. Kate was a great leader. She led in her own way. She didn't really say very much, at least when I was around. But when she talked, the other players listened to her. She has a rare ability to be able to call somebody out without offending them, which, unless she wanted to, she could offend them too if she wanted to. Don't get me wrong, but people respect that because she led by example. And again, I've heard it a couple times today. Isn't that funny that a lot of the people going into the Hall of Fame were the best player on their team and also the hardest worker, and that's not an accident. People follow them naturally. I remember one game we were playing Washburn. It was probably your senior year. Junior or senior, I think it was senior year. And we were down 4 or 5 at half. This was right when we were dethroning Washburn and when we started beating them all the time, like we have now for the last 10 years. But it was halftime, we were down. We were having a hard time, we were getting beat off the dribble. Our guards were getting beat a little bit off the dribble. And then we'd foul them on the way by. We'd either reach and get a foul, or we'd try to take a charge and not get there. before I could say a word at halftime, Kate, she just goes, she says, would you guys just quit fouling? That's all that's keeping them in the game. Just quit fouling. Just when they get by you, just let them go. I'll take care of them. Now, though that's about verbatim, except she said it faster. And you'll hear here in a minute, Kate talks fast. And that's okay. But she had a way with just cutting to the chase and not mincing words, at the same time getting her point across. She also had that rare ability to block shots without fouling. I've coached a lot of really good big kids over the years. None as good as Kate, but some pretty good ones. Some players of the year at the NAI level. She has the greatest timing and just without fouling. She fouled out just a handful of times over the years, which is amazing. So I had the other thing about Kate and my relationship with her as a player coach was she was always respectful to me and always listened, but didn't always do what I asked. But she always, she wasn't going to tell me to my face, no, I'm not going to do that. She just, did her own thing. I do recall, I think it was her senior year and second game of the region tournament. We'd won the first game handily. Well, no, that first game was the tough one. And I think she played all game. And the second game, we're playing Wayne State, and we're up 10 or 12 in the second quarter, and I think we're going to be able to get them. It looks good. Kate looks a little tired, so I take her. I think this is a good time to give her a little rest. So I take her out, and she comes over to the sideline, and she looks. She comes over and she looks down at me. Well, Kate looks down at a lot of people, but she looks down and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, well, you look tired. You look tired. Go get a drink. So I turned my attention back to the game, and it was the next possession. Within 15 seconds, I'm standing there, and Kate just walks by me and checks herself back in. Didn't say a word. And I looked around. They said she walked down and got a drink, like I told her. Didn't sit down, and then just checked herself back in. And, well, I figured, why take her out? She's just going to check back in, so I just let her play the rest of the game. So Kate had her way about her that was just refreshing to me, because she was, there's low maintenance players, there's high maintenance, and then there's no maintenance, and she was just a no maintenance player. Gave me very little to do about her off the floor. The other thing that goes to work ethic and just being there is, let's see, 90, 93, and 28. That's 121 games. She didn't miss a game in 4 years. But more amazingly, she didn't miss a practice in 4 years. We practice, it's a 5 or 6 month season. We have 90 practices a year. So over 350 practices, she didn't miss one unless I forced her to sit because I wanted her to rest. And after I did that a couple times, it was too much work for me to keep her sitting over there resting, that I was getting worn out. So I just quit doing that. So, but I thought that was really impressive. She played hurt a lot. She got fouled more than anybody alive. It's always fair game to the officials to, let the little kids hit the big kids. They can't hurt them. So she got fouled all the time. It's just a little different. It's just different that way. So Kate was a 4-time MIAA all-conference player, 3-time first team, 1-time player of the year, a one-time National Player of the Year. Just one time, Kate, geez, give me a break. 4-time All-Defensive Team, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. It's really hard. I've been on these committees and choosing all conference teams. People don't want you to have a Player of the Year and a Defensive Player of the Year, and it's, well, it's not fair. We need to spread it. I said, give me a break. I said, that's why she is the best player in the conference. 2-time first-team All-American, 3-time All-Region, Central Region, and our region has 42 teams, so it's tough to make the All-Region team. She was the first athlete from Fort Hays State to win the Ken B. Jones Award, which is a really prestigious student athlete of the conference, of the MIAA, and that's grades, and that's athletic achievement and community service. So she was the first one to receive that award. I'm trying to just, she holds so many records and accomplished so much. I'm trying to just, hit the top ones, and there's still a lot of them. She had a 4-year GPA of 3.85, which I guess that's okay. I mean, I think mine was a little higher than that, but that's still good. The other thing about, she was an education major, and her going into her senior year, she's getting enrolled for the next year, and she says, well, what do you think about me just doing my student teaching in the spring? And I says, nobody does that. I said, we're in the middle. We're chasing like our first MIAA championship. We're chasing our first top seed in the region. We're good enough to win the national title if we stay healthy. Nobody was, I remember telling my dad about in January that, I don't think anybody can beat us until, we had a little hard luck with some injuries, and that just happens. But I don't think anybody was going to beat us. So anyway, she didn't take my advice to do that. I said, people student teach the next fall after they get their other stuff done and go. I said, you're going to be really busy. She says, okay, thanks for the advice. I'm not going to take it. I plan on having a job next fall. And so she's up at 6 o'clock every morning, never misses practice, never misses a beat. So that just tells you a lot about, she can handle a lot at one time, and her work ethic is still evident today. She's married to Joel Bremerman. They have 3 daughters, Jessie, Maddie, Lexi. I don't know if that's the right order, but they're all young. She's an elementary school principal, and I understand she just helped start a program to coach 1st and 2nd grade girls at basketball. Now, I'm not sure what she does with her spare time, but I'm sure she has a whole bunch of time for a whole bunch of hobbies. Like, I don't know how you do it. So I'd like to introduce to you, in my opinion, the best player to ever play at Fort Hays State, Kate Lehman Bremerman.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Coach. I know he loves these kind of events and public speaking about as much as I do, so I'm honored that you were able to do that for me. And I will echo Darcy in saying that public speaking is not my forte, so please bear with me. I'll try and go nice and slow. What an incredible honor it is to be standing here today, To say this moment is surreal would be an understatement. I'm truly humbled to be inducted into the Fort Hays Hall of Fame. As I have reflected on my journey that led me here, I have realized that my fondest memories don't lie in the stat lines at all, but yet they lie in the memories and relationships that have been formed. I think about my freshman year and those first few preseason practices when I couldn't feel my arms or legs for several weeks, where washing my hair was tough and going to the bathroom was even tougher. I remember how hopeful we were that the upperclassmen would have lab classes, so that we had to have a late practice, so that coach had to pay for us to go out to dinner. I remember our sophomore year, when campus was closed for snow days, but of course we still had practice. We couldn't drive, there was no way to get there. Coach said, "Don't worry, we'll come get you." He showed up in a Suburban and we fishtailed all the way to the gym. I remember going to Mr. and Mrs. Haggard's house every year to eat Mexican food till we would burst, and then having leftover containers to take it home to eat on for the following week. I remember watching Mr. Bickle dance in the stands during the fourth quarter of every home game. I'm sorry, Coach, I was not listening. I remember the pep band showing up loud and proud to every game, even over the breaks. I remember eating more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for pregame than any person should ever have to eat. And it was the healthy peanut butter, not even the good stuff. I remember feeling like Fort Hays was home and being so grateful for the road that led me to being a Tiger. And for that, there are so many people who deserve a heartfelt thank you. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the coaches who believed in me, who took a chance and recruited me. Without their trust and vision, none of this would have been possible. I am certain that when Coach Hobson got me in the weight room for the first time and watched me try to do a push-up, he wondered what on earth he had gotten himself into. I did increase from 1 to 10 by my senior year. Coach has pushed me beyond my limits, helping me grow not only as an athlete, but as a person. Thank you for seeing something in myself, seeing something in me when I didn't always see it in myself. Coach went on a little bit, but to my incredible teammates, this honor belongs to them just as much as it does to me. Harry Truman said it best when he said, "It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit." I was blessed to play with a selfless group, always putting the team's success above individual stat lines. That is why we were able to achieve what we did. We pushed each other, lifted each other up, and celebrated the wins together. I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for them. And Coach is right, it never was in the stat line for me, it was in the wins. Next is my husband. Thank you for being always willing to lose to a game of horse, and for spending time rebounding in the gym for me and being one of my biggest supporters. To my family, words cannot express how thankful I am for your endless support. Some of my earliest and fondest memories are of going to biddy ball games in Wichita when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade with my grandpa. And of course, we would stop for ice cream on the way home, which was really the only reason I even wanted to go to the game in the first place. However, as I grew up, both figuratively and literally, my love for the game also grew. Our family had more than one ultra-competitive games. It didn't matter where we were, in the driveway, in the pool, or on vacation. There was usually a ball and some sort of competition taking place. If it was cold outside, there was cards or wrestling. Even into high school and college, it wasn't uncommon to find us in the gym. We would start with a game of volleyball where we would hit at each other until our arms turned red. Then we would switch to basketball, playing 1-on-1, 2-on-2, or 3-on-3 until we were all tired to physically play anymore. I remember Coach once told me, "You better not go to the rec center and play with your brother over break." We went. Occasionally, I am still able to rope them into playing on 3-on-3 tournaments with me. That family time helped to lay the foundation for everything I've accomplished. Lastly, to my parents, thank you for spending an ungodly amount of time driving me to games and an even crazier amount of time sitting in gyms cheering me on. Thank you for instilling a solid work ethic in me and for encouraging my competitive spirit. I know it wasn't, and still isn't, always easy. Your sacrifice and dedication mean more to me than I can express. To everyone who has been part of my journey, coaches, community, teammates, friends, and family, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am honored to be a part of Fort Hays history.
Congratulations, Kate, Lehman, Brimmerman, and welcome to the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. In closing, I'm going to turn it over to our athletic director, Curtis Hammocky. I just want to leave you all with a thank you for being here this morning, family and friends, to all the inductees. I hope you enjoy your time in Hayes America. I hope you're able to go to the game this afternoon. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over for our closing to Mr. Curtis Hammocky.
Thank you again, John, and once more, congratulations to all of the 24 inductees to the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. A couple things that I would like to say here real quick. If we can get the inductees up here, Ryan, are you going to be able to take a picture? We'd like all to, right here before we go anywhere else, we can get our inductees up here for a quick photo. Also, before you leave, if any of you need tickets to the game, Toby in the back has tickets to the game for those of you who do not have tickets right now but would like to go to the game. For the inductees and one guest who have been invited into the President's Box, there's parking for that to go up to the President's Box in a paved parking lot just to the west side of the stadium, right near where the elevator's at. So if you wiggle your way around to the west side, and if you don't know west, that's over by the Children's Center, okay? But the west side of the stadium, there's a parking lot back there, and your names are on a security list back there, okay? So Toby will have tickets for anybody else who needs them. And then we want to get a photo up here of the inductees. We will bring you out at halftime of the football game, unless somebody needs to leave. But if you are at the football game, we will go out at halftime and read your bio at midfield. For those able to do that with us, we hope you can. So, and then anybody wants to come take pictures, you can come out there on the field and get pictures of them while they're out there at halftime if you'd like. Okay. So again, I thank you all for taking the time to be here in this most special event that we have each year. Thanks for being here today, and we'll hopefully see you this afternoon. Congratulations.